X-Men. Get it!
Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Battle of the Atom. This is your weekly X-Men podcast where we rank every story from A to Z.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Zach from another dimension. How you doing, Adam?
I'm good. I am so pumped to talk about Weapon X this episode. It's going to be really fun.
Hey, buddy. I don't know how to tell you this. This is unfortunate. Oh.
Uh-oh. What happened?
So the Weapon X we're talking about is not Marvel Comics Presents 72 to 84 Weapon X. It's also not the Greg Land Weapon X. So kind of a mixed bag on either end. It's not the Frank Thierry Weapon X, so we got that going for us, which is nice. We have not talked about the Frank Thierry Weapon X on this podcast in the 4 years we've been doing it. We will get there because I'm still mad.
Yeah, this is a version of Weapon X from Exiles, because today we are talking about 3 stories that have to do with King Hyperion.
Yeah, and all that comes to us from Patreon supporter Greg Packnett. If you want to be like Greg, you can go on over to patreon.com/comicsxf. That's where you can support the site that has all of the latest and greatest comic book content that your heart desires. There's some really cool stuff on it, and all the money goes to the site. I don't know. I'm not in pitch mode today. It's fine. We're fine. You know. Go listen to another episode if you want to hear the whole spiel. But we love the money, and we love Greg. So thank you, Greg. Yeah. And like you said, Greg wanted us to talk about King Hyperion. Adam.
Hey.
What's your baseline knowledge of Hyperion as a concept?
I gotta say, like, the biggest touchstone I have is Hyperion under Hickman in his Avengers run. I don't know. I know he's a Superman analog, and I know that there's a 1970s version of him from Squadron Supreme. I think that's the original team. Is that right?
Yeah. So Roy Thomas wanted to write the Justice League as the bad guys for the Avengers. But
as one does.
So he just did that, and Hyperion is Superman, only he's kind of a bad guy. Original flavor Hyperion, not the worst. He a lot of times turns from Superman but bad to like Superman but not wholly pure good. And frankly, there's been a lot of Superman but bads throughout the world. Not a fresh concept, to be fair.
No, and I think if you've only encountered the Hickman version of the character, you know him to be more of a good guy.
Because he's just Superman. The Hickman Hyperion is just Superman.
Right. And if you're unclear about who we're talking about, you may recognize this character for his very distinctive gold underwear, which kind of, it's like a double Speedo, facing down and facing up with rivets.
It looks like a wrestling belt. He's wearing a wrestling championship belt, which kind of rules.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But it's also underwear, so it's like
there's that
it's
part
supporting
of it.
Stuff. But
it's
this
a cod piece, really.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So we are catching up with Exiles. We have not talked about Exiles in a very long time on this show.
In a spell, yeah.
Yeah, and what is this first arc we are talking about here? This is issue 38 to 40? Is that right?
Yeah, this is 38 to 40. It is King Hyperion, written by Buds. Buckle up.
Drum roll, please.
Because here comes Chuck the Truck. It's Chuckles Austin. He's here. Jim Calafiore is doing the pencils, Mark McKenna on the inks on this one. And this is it's kind of interesting how this happens, because this is just a break from the regular Exiles team. Mm-hmm. They just say, we're not going to talk about, Blink and Nocturne and, I don't know, Morph. Mimic, I guess. I hate that Mimic's one of the original Exiles. Like, he's the worst, right? Like, of of the original ones, it's Blink. Number one with a bullet is Blink.
Right.
And then Nocturne or Morph, depending on which one you care for more in that given time. And then it's Mimic, who Blink dates, and that part's boring and bad.
I agree. So the track we're on here, this little diversion, is about a group of other Exiles that what's the person's name? The Time Turner? What are they?
You're talking about the Time Broker?
The Time Broker, that's right. Has assigned another team to go out and help fix the multiverse's little time challenges, except these guys are bad, and they are willing to kill whoever needs to be killed to fix the timelines and get back to their own timelines. Some of them don't care, and this lineup is kind of fun. Who do we have here, Zach?
So for this lineup of Weapon X, we have, it starts out with Gambit, the Spider, who is evil serial killer Peter Parker with the symbiote. There's Vision. Storm for a hot second in this one. Colossus, who's just regular Colossus. Like, all these characters are pretty much regular versions of themselves, to be fair.
Yeah.
Because Chuck Austin may not always get the idea. Ms. Marvel, who is an evil version of Carol Danvers.
Yes.
And then after Storm dies, Hyperion. Hyperion joins the team. And it's interesting because, like, this Weapon X concept goes back early in the run. Like, this comes from the Judd Winnick stuff. That's where, there was a team with Spider and Vision and Storm, and it was, in fact, led by Sabretooth. From Age of Apocalypse. So it was kind of like a thing, and you would periodically jump between the main Exiles missions and then like a short arc with them, with the Weapon X. So this is not a wild thing that Chuck Austin is doing here.
No, but he is setting up this villain of King Hyperion. Hyperion shows up, is basically like, yo, I got the spiel from the Time Broker. I don't care about that. Why don't we just not do what they say to do, and let's just take over this world and like live like like champions,
yeah.
Right?
The problem is King Hyperion's planet got super nuked to the point where he is the only living person.
Right.
So he's sitting there like, I would like to not go back to my home planet, actually.
Absolutely.
But this one's fine. Like, I'm on a regular planet right now. Yeah, there's some mutant stuff going on. We'll figure that out. Because their mission is to kill the last mutants on the planet.
Yes, because Magneto is planning to blow up this Earth with a giant asteroid.
I mean, that's not why they have to kill all the mutants.
No, but it's just what's
it's also
going
happening
on
at the same time, yes.
Right. And,
it's very important to distinguish that the Exiles mission and the stuff that's just happening around them are not necessarily always connected. Sometimes it's just the situation they find themselves in.
Yeah. And Hyperion gets off to a smoking start here within the crumbling facade of the Xavier Mansion, in which all the X-Men have been killed, except for Kitty Pryde, who's sort of intangibly running around. Hyperion immediately has sex with evil Captain Marvel and blows up Vision just for kicks.
Yeah, which isn't great. So here's the thing about Chuck Austin. He's a lot of things, and one of those things is really horny. Again, I don't know how horny his kids' cartoons that he's doing are now. I assume moderate to no horny in those. I didn't watch Steven Universe. Was it horny? I can't tell from the fan art. It's very confusing.
I do think that there's some love, at least some.
Love and horny are different.
Yes.
Hold on.
I can't speak from having watched the show, but I suspect it's very different than Hyperion and Captain Marvel doing it in the shambles of the X-Men.
With, like, bodies around.
Exactly. Right? So Hyperion continues his killing spree, kills Magneto, breaks up the asteroid, ends up killing a couple more members of this team.
Yeah, he just kind of kills people to get his way. That's King Hyperion's entire deal. Is that if you don't get along with King Hyperion, he will just murder you and then go about his merry way.
Yeah. No, that's pretty much it. To the point where the rest of the Weapon X team have teamed up with the surviving mutants, which are led by Storm. They're up on Asteroid M as Hyperion and Rogue are trying to stop the asteroid. He basically just kills Rogue and lets the asteroid hit Earth. And
yeah, what he gets to a point, and this is a fairly this is a dark choice to make, which it was 2004 in comics. Superhero comics were trying to be dark and edgy and gritty and mature after the comics code had disappeared and in the wake of 9/11 when we were all just going through some stuff. King Hyperion says, beans, this planet's not working my way. Let's finish the mission real quick. Kills everybody. And he's like, later suckers, we'll take over a different planet.
Yeah, he heads out with some new team members. There's a version of Bruce Banner that shows up. And is it Firestar?
It's Firestar. Don't worry about them. They do. Spoiler.
They don't do anything.
They don't last long. They come in and say, the Timebreaker really doesn't like this stuff that you're doing, my dude.
Right.
And he says, I don't care. You're only going to live because I know how to capture you, and I don't want to deal with it.
So the story is pretty quick. It kind of plays out like a what-if story for the most part.
Yeah.
Just about everybody dies. The evil guys get away and go do their thing. I just want to comment before we start ranking this one on the artwork here. Jim Calafiore, who is going to do another arc that we're going to talk about this episode, he's doing a fine job. It just there's one thing that he does that drives me absolutely insane. Oh. And that is that he does not know where eyes go on a face.
I did not notice that.
Okay.
I do love it.
To the point where there are several characters like Colossus and Quicksilver who he doesn't even bother to draw eyes. He draws the lines that go around the eyes maybe, but he will not draw an actual eyeball to go in that spot. It drives me absolutely insane. His eyes are where like the eyebrows should be instead of in the center of the face. And it's just a stylistic thing that just drives me absolutely insane every page that I see him draw faces. That was my quick aside about that. I don't know if it's
I'm looking at pictures now. You are correct.
Yeah.
The eyes are too high. They are simply
all the time.
They are simply too high.
Yep. All the time. It drives me absolutely crazy. So anyway, aside from this, I think this is kind of like a whatever.
It's fine.
What if style story? It's fine. Why don't we rank this on our big list?
Yeah, because we do have a big list. We have a big list that covers every X-Men story that's ever existed for all time, in so much as that we've already talked about them. There are 573 stories on this list to date. Dang, we are on the road to 600.
That's crazy.
Adam, do you remember when we were on the road to 500 and it was earlier this year?
It goes by fast.
It goes by fast. Man, sometimes you think back on a bit that you did for too long, and you're like, man, I missed that bit. Remember when we had scrolls in our closets and we did weird voice filters for far too long to the annoyance of our entire audience, and I got the worst review we've ever got on the podcast from one guy who did that, and then several people said that was so dumb. I laughed, but never do it again.
People were so mad at the way I edited that episode. But anyway, tell me more about this list, Zach.
The best X-Men story of all time is The House of X, The Powers of 10 at number 1. That's by Jonathan Hickman, R.B. Silva, Pepe Larraz, and Mate Gracia. Number 100 is Executioner's Song. You know that one.
Love it.
Number 200 is What If the X-Men Had Stayed in Asgard, which is What If 12. Man, that one we did a while ago, too. Shoot. Mm-hmm. That was first few months. Number 300 is Marvel Comics Presents Colossus God's Country. Number 400, this one's interesting. It's called X-Men Regenesis. That's the one where Kieran Gillen wrote Cyclops is wearing a lion cloth in a script, and he meant to write loincloth. And it made it through. It made it better,
it to the page.
Number 500 is Incredible Hulk 161, which I believe is is that Beast story.
Mm-hmm.
With a mimic. And then 553 is It's of the Draco.
Blah, blah. We have the first 2 issues of Exiles at 231.
Those are better than this. Those are better than this.
I would agree.
The Jeff Parker Exiles at 298 are better than this.
I would agree.
This is better than 450 Exiles 100, though.
Yeah, this isn't as low as that Claremont end leading up to the other volume.
You know, it's weird to say that Chuck Austin did better than Chris Claremont on that, but he absolutely did. The Chuck Austin Exiles is better than the Chris Claremont Exiles.
At 364, we have the first 3 issues of Mutant X, which is also an alternate universe story. I like that better.
I would agree. I think Mutant X is better than this.
I think we're probably in the 400s here.
Yeah, I'm looking because 372 is Death of X, and I do like Death of X better than this.
Yeah.
I like the first 5 issues of Extraordinary X-Men better than this, but I think we're in right at the right spot. Rise and Fall of Shi'ar Empires at 406. That's probably better than this.
Yeah, we're right in the sort of the right spot. I think this is probably... You think this is better than Colossus Bloodline at 409? You know what? This isn't better than the last 3 issues of New Mutants at 413.
It's really not. It's not better. It's not better than that New Warriors issue we ranked. Was that last episode, or was that 2 episodes ago?
That
Doesn't
2
matter.
episodes ago. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
This is better than Muir Island Saga though at 425.
I would agree. So,
better or worse than Emperor Vulcan?
You know what, Zach? I don't know if this is this better than Judgment War? I feel like because there's another Chuck Austin issue here at 429. Fall Down, Go Boom.
Fall Down, Go Boom is better than this.
I think that's better than this.
This is better than This is better than What If Cable killed the X-Men / Magneto took over the U.S.
All right, good. We figured out where it is. So this is going to be our new 430.
This is our new 430. King Hyperion. Nope, that's a picture of Hitmonkey.
You copied and pasted the Hitmonkey.
Don't worry about why I copied and pasted a picture of Hitmonkey, a character that the Marvel Wikia has an ad that says, "How much do you know about Hitmonkey?" And my response is, I run a comic book podcast and a mildly successful website all about comics with a focus on Marvel Comics. I don't know a dang thing about Hitmonkey. When people say that people don't know who this character is, we're not saying it like we used to say about, well, dudes don't know who Moon Knight is. No one knows who Hitmonkey is. Don't lie to me. Who created Hitmonkey, Adam? Do you know?
I have no idea. It's
Adam,
a monkey in a suit that hits people.
No, he's an assassin monkey. I learned that.
That's the hit, I guess.
He does hits. Do you know where Hitmonkey comes from?
I have no idea. I don't
His first appearance is Hitmonkey number 1.
Of course it is.
His first appearance is which was a which was a digital comic exclusively on the Marvel Digital Comics Unlimited, which is what Marvel Unlimited was before it was Marvel Unlimited.
Okay. So this is a relatively newer creation that
Yeah, 2010. He then ends up appearing in the Daniel Way Deadpool, which I don't want to read because
there you go.
It's Daniel Way and Deadpool.
I think we just explained the green light on that show. So next arc, King Hyperion, he's back.
King Hyperion's back, baby.
Yeah.
You know, it's been a while, but he's back in style.
Yeah, and so is Blink, who had been missing from the series for a bit. We're back to the regular Exiles.
We are. This is Exiles number 43 through
45.
45. It's called A Blink in Time, and essentially the regular team of Exiles has to deal with King Hyperion.
Pretty much.
He's causing some issues.
Well, and the Exiles are in bad shape. Mimic just got over being infected with a brood egg and killed one of their teammates, right?
Yeah, that was Sunfire, and she was dating Morph. Well, not really dating Morph. Okay, so this is a bad plot, and when I tell you it's a Chuck Austin plot, you're gonna say that makes sense. Even though I'll be honest, it may actually, now that I'm looking at it, this was actually a Judd Winnick plot. I'm wrong.
Okay.
Sunfire in this universe
is Mariko.
Is Mariko Yoshida. And she was a lesbian in this universe. And wouldn't you know it, Morph pulls a pink triangle. And, he's dumb.
It's chasing Amy. Kevin Smith, what are you doing?
Can you imagine Kevin Smith writing Morph? It would be very bad. This is the second time in the last half hour Adam and I were talking about how bad Kevin Smith writing insert random Marvel character here would be.
It's not hard to do.
Can you imagine him writing Daredevil? It sounds like it'd be awful.
Yeah. Well, not only has that just happened, so, Morph is angry at Mimic because he's killed Mariko, who wasn't interested in Morph because she liked the ladies. We are replacing her with an Ileana who suddenly is coming on to Morph. And
Ileana had been there. She'd been on the team for a little bit. She's an evil version of Magic.
Yes.
We get Blink because Sunfire dies.
Okay.
Blink comes back because Sunfire dies. Again, Exiles is really interested in its own internal continuity for the entirety of the time until Chris Claremont comes on the book.
Yeah. So Gambit is here. He's got his own Talus.
He's the Weapon X Gambit, and they're stuck on this Weapon X planet, and they're like, we gotta do something about Hyperion, because Gambit's pretty much the only one left fighting against Hyperion, because you remember Hulk and Firestar that we told you don't worry about?
Yeah, they're already dead.
Well, I mean, they're explicitly not dead. They are kept just alive enough that they don't get replaced.
Oh, right. Yeah, they're kind of hung up in spider webs.
Yep. The Spider is still being Hyperion's lackey. Ms. Marvel thinks she can be queen of the world, even though it's very obvious that King Hyperion does not care about her in any sort of romantic way. In Gambit, he's just trying to get by. He's trying to save the world. Yeah.
Well, he's interested in getting back to his home world. So, story continues. Exiles take the fight to Hyperion. It does not go well.
It doesn't, because it gets to the point. The problem with this Exiles team is that Ileana Rasputin on this team is evil.
Right.
And not evil in the way that our version of Yana is evil, in a fun, kind of sexy, flirty way. She's evil in the I'm gonna stab you kind of way. And that's not great, because this magic does stab Sasquatch, who's on this team. Who's Heather Hudson from a different universe.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh boy, Heather McDonald, I guess. Anyway, regardless, everyone gets mad, and they decide they have to fight King Hyperion.
Yeah, and the only thing that ends up taking out King Hyperion is Blink manages to teleport Hyperion's own eye blasts back at his back, so that he becomes paralyzed, and Gambit is able to use the Soul Sword. He charges up Ileana's Soul Sword and stabs Hyperion, and at least for the moment, it looks like Hyperion has gone kerblooey. And
to be fair, he's in several pieces.
right. He's not, doesn't look like he's doing so well. And the Time Broker does show up at the tail end of this story to just sort of check in, and I guess like promises that they can actually go home, or that Morph can go home, I guess.
And Morph decides not to.
Yeah, he instead decides to stay with the team, and we end with a very nice Christmassy, snow-filled night of all of them getting a good night's sleep, which is cute. So King Hyperion's just more of a pain in the butt here, and it's not super exciting. I mean, more
they do a
eyes
fight.
Yes.
Here's what's good about this. Blink rules. Blink is great in this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a reason Blink became the fan favorite. It's obvious. Blink's cool in this. It's cool that she's Age of Apocalypse Blink. It's cool that she's just as cool as she was in Age of Apocalypse. She's smart, resourceful, saves the day. It's great. I cannot deal with Mimic. He's the worst. And I don't know what Blink sees in him. He's just the worst.
They are romantically attached here, and it's not great. A lot of this lives and breathes, whether lives or dies on whether you can get into the Morph character, because he is really the focus of a lot of this in terms of his feelings and, what he's going to do to try and take out Hyperion. None of it works.
Do you know what I think's interesting?
What's that?
When we were talking about Age of Apocalypse recently, you and I had a very strong realization that Morph and his jovial lightheartedness is part of the reason why Age of Apocalypse isn't like a Warhammer 40k ultra grim dark book to read.
Yeah.
His levity
good things
really
to
works
say.
there.
Uh-huh.
And I think why he doesn't work as well for me here, because he's not Age of Apocalypse Morph, but he's Age of Apocalypse Morph. He's explicitly not the same Morph that Blink and Sabretooth know, but
right. But
he's
similar.
He's from one universe over or something. He's close enough.
Yep.
Except for he's just heckin' horny all the time. He's a teen comedy character from the early 2000s, and has anything aged as poorly?
Once you start trying to assign this character a little bit of gravitas and, assigning those kind of romantic feelings to it, it's just, I don't know that it fits, it doesn't seem to work so well. I guess it could in the right hands. I don't think it's working here.
I don't either.
Yeah.
It's fine. This story is exactly as good as the last story, in my opinion. I think they are exactly as good as each other.
I would slot this in maybe just below it. This one doesn't have as much going on. It's not introducing as much in terms of concept. It's basically just a 3-issue fight scene. So it's fine. It goes along with the rest of the arc, but, it's just okay.
It can be our new 431. We don't have to debate it.
No, not at all. But it is important that we talked about both of those before we talked about the last arc that we're going to talk about here, which is Exiles 62 to 65, the Timebreakers.
Yeah, so here's the thing. It's written by Tony Bedard with pencils by Mizuki Sakakibara, and it's kind of the culmination of Exiles. It really is the this is what Exiles has been building to.
Oh, absolutely. So we're back in the sort of time crystal castle,
The,
right?
the Panopticon.
Yes. Yup. The Exiles team, however, has changed dramatically since our last arc. So our lineup still has Blink, Morph, and Mimic, but now we're joined by Age of Apocalypse, Sabretooth, Namorita, and of all characters, Holocaust?
Oh yeah, so we got to give a little context. In the last arc, after evil magic died, in the last arc, she was replaced by Namora, who was, girl Namor. That's all she is. Like, the problem is there is a Namorita. Like, there are plenty of girl Namors in general, and then Nocturne ends up in the Chuck Austin run of X-Men for some reason. I forget exactly why, but anyway, she's not in the book anymore. Mm-hmm. Sasquatch leaves the team, and they go back to Age of Apocalypse for a spell, and they pick up Holocaust. The thing is, they are very explicitly being screwed with. Like, this opens up with them saying, hey, the Time Broker has been acting like a real jerk recently. What's up with that?
Yeah, and when they show up, well, they're in for an interesting surprise, aren't they, Zach? Because the Time Broker is not what they thought the Time Broker was.
Yeah, the Time Broker is not Mr. Belvedere. It is, and Adam, I'm going to make a reference here that you may not get, but there's going to be listeners who do.
Okay.
They find themselves in a Mass Effect situation. They find themselves in a situation where actually little bug workers are running everything and taking care of the whole thing unbeknownst to anybody, and maybe working for ulterior secret motives that no one is quite sure of. It's because the little bugs screwed up time and space on accident when they found the Crystal Palace, the Panopticon, and now they're trying to fix it. But by doing so, they're like kidnapping people against their will to be like, you were about to die. We're trying to do this as ethically as possible, but we're tiny bug people and we can't fix the multiverse. Somebody has to withhold the sacred timeline or whatever that dumb. I watched Loki in one evening. That's. I thought Owen Wilson was great. I
loved it.
I think
thought
Loki
it was great.
I think Loki was fine. I don't think it was bad. I liked their dynamic with Loki and Sylvie, and Loki and Owen Wilson, who is just Mark Grunwald. It's beautiful. It's beautiful because very explicitly his character is Mark Grunwald because Walt Simonson was making a joke at one point, and now there's just Mark Grunwald on television, which is beautiful.
It's hard to argue with, you know what I mean? All right, so I'm going to come back at your reference, and I'm going to give my own dated reference, and basically the Panopticon. Am I saying that right? Is that what it is? Panopticon.
It's the Panopticon. Shout out to friend of the show, Luke Hare, whose great podcast, Exiles, which is about a better team of Exiles than any of this, got me through some rough times. Go check that out if you like Exiles in general. It's a real play RPG podcast. Plenty of friends of the show have been on there. Charlie Davis is a player near the end. I was on a couple of episodes. It's a blast.
Yeah, no, shout out to Luke, who's obviously committed to his bit and did a great job with that show.
There's no one more committed to bits than Luke Hare. No. I will tell you that.
Plus, we can't do an Exiles episode without mentioning Luke. Okay, time for my 90s reference. The Panopticon is basically Joe's apartment from MTV. And the roaches are running the place. So, yeah, you didn't know what I was talking about there, did you?
I was very concerned that you were about to come up with whatever, like, I'm assuming 70s sci-fi reference both Mass Effect and the Panopticon are pulling from that I don't know about bugs running a space station.
No. It's just look it up on YouTube. Anyway,
I won't, but let's go.
It turns out that it's not even the bugs that are running the show now because
anymore.
Right. They're not even doing a sort of an image of the Time Broker because who's running the show but our formerly dismembered King Hyperion is back.
Yeah, King Hyperion, super evil. as we all know. And what you find out is that everyone who's died on the Exiles, which is several people, their bodies were actually being preserved in the Panopticon in case they could be healed for whatever reason in these crystal things that the bugs knew were like medical. They didn't know how they worked, so they didn't want to release anybody, least, they just stay dead.
Right.
Which is great. The fact that the bugs are essentially like, man, we don't know, we are in way over our heads here. That is pretty good.
Yes. Another thing that is going to elevate this right off the bat from the other arcs is that one of the first things the King Hyperion does upon revealing himself is literally snort Holocaust up like a large pile of cocaine in Scarface.
It's kind of great because they get Age of Apocalypse Holocaust, and they're like, yeah, well, you can't stand up against him, he's a nuke. And then cannot emphasize enough that King Hyperion has a radioactive symbol on his chest. That's what Hyperion has always had, is like an atom or a radioactive thing. So he very much says, oh, can't I? And like headbutts him and snorts up all of his insides. It's like, dang, that's some good stuff. Let's go, folks. So he's high on genocide right now. And he's gonna wreck house. The problem is they are outside of the known universe, so they don't know what happens if they break the essentially space station they're on, but they can't imagine it's good.
No, and the strategies quickly becomes like, where can we hide from this guy? And what they've discovered is that there's a couple different staging grounds, desert, ocean, what have you, where, the Time Broker originally gave his little spiel to various teams, and they concoct a plan around these rooms.
By they, it's mostly Blink. That's the beauty of it. It is mostly Blink. And Blink's great, but brother, there's a wild card in the mix, and it's the reason why I was so excited to revisit these. Was it really worth reading everything I had to get here? But boy, do I love this wild card.
I was messaging you earlier, and I was like, man, you were pumped about talking about these stories, and I was so confused as to why. But when I got up to the point where Beak shows up as the hero of this arc, I was like,
you
okay,
got it.
Now I know why Zach's
You're
excited.
like, oh, it's some random X-Men loser. That's why Zach loves this. I actually don't love this arc. Like, even revisiting it, it's fine. The conclusion is great, because Beak, 616 Beak, was on this team for a spell. Mm-hmm. And he got removed. And it turns out the reason why he was on the Exiles is because the bugs knew about Beak's secret superpower, and they knew that his secret superpower was going to save the day. And Adam, do you know what Beak's secret superpower is?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's the power of friendship.
It is the power of friendship. It's very explicitly that Beak's a nice guy and can make friends. So all of the Exiles are in a lot of trouble. Beak gets woken up, and the bugs are like, y'all, Beak, we know you can fix it because we can see time. We don't know how you can fix it, but you can fix it. And again, this is Beak from Grant Morrison's new X-Men. Beak.
Yeah. Yep.
And he's like, oh no, I'm in way over my head. This is terrible. And he realizes, okay, crap, I have all of the known universe in front of me. I guess I can ask people for help. So what Beak does, in what's kind of a super cool last page reveal, is like, he's up against Hyperion, and Hyperion's like, what are you going to do to stop me? He's like, oh, I can't do anything to stop you, but these guys can. And he puts his thumbs behind him, and you know what? It's Roy Thomas, Hyperion, and don't you know it? It's Mark Grunwald Hyperion, baby. He's got sunglasses from the 80s.
Yeah. And they're both good guys, and they're both going to try and kick the crap out of the Hyperion.
Essentially, both of them are like, oh, this guy wants to destroy all of the universe? No, we can't have that. No, our stuff's there. And they beat him up. They
do. Unfortunately, it is not enough. And it really comes down to Blink, who lures King Hyperion into the desert staging area. And basically, I don't know how to put this. She teleports him full of sand. And they zap him back to his nuked planet, to his home nuked planet.
Yeah, they essentially just kick him back to where he came from, where he can't hurt anybody and he will be in torment for his entire existence because he will be alone and super bored.
Yeah.
Which works because the team... Mimic's whole thing is be like, I killed somebody. I can't... These hands are bloodied, and I will not kill again. I shan't do it. It's like, get over yourself, Mimic. This isn't even a real Hyperion here. We were talking beforehand, Adam. You know about the different Hyperions, right?
I don't. And when I looked at the Marvel wiki, there are so many. My God.
So there's Roy. Did I say Thompson earlier? Roy Thomas.
Right.
I'm sorry, Roy the boy. Roy, friend of the site. Roy Thomas. His Hyperion. There's obviously the Mark Grunwald Hyperion with the glasses. He's great. There's Hickman Hyperion. That's Marcus Milton. He's great. There's Jason Aaron's Hyperion, who's the worst. Who's the most I'm fake evil Superman. Jason Aaron, buddy. Don't read Heroes Reborn. There's a lot of Hyperions, and the best Hyperions that exist are in this one. And it is very satisfying to see these two Hyperions show up and say, "What's up? We're gonna punch you now." Because what else is gonna beat Superman but Superman? And they're there because Beak made friends with them, and I love it. And I especially love the ending where they're like, "We don't know if we can trust these strangers with any of this time travel device, multiverse," and they're like, "But we trust Beak. So as long as our friend Beak is here, we're gonna trust you with it."
And Beak is like,
the second he says, "Yeah, absolutely." The second they leave, he looks at them and says, "Get me back to my girlfriend right now. I'm done. I am done. I lied to them. They are never gonna find out. But I am not doing this anymore. I saved your guys' butt. Send me back to my girlfriend and our many children."
yeah, Sabretooth slaps him on the back, and that's how this arc ends. So I found
that's good.
I found
good.
this to be very, very enjoyable. The art it's fine. You know, I think it's a step up from what we were looking at in the first two arcs. But the reveal of the bugs and the Beak and the two Hyperions, it's a lot of fun. So I'll give this some credit.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It resets the Exiles to, like, there's no real mystery anymore about, like, why they're doing what they're doing. It's just, hey, time's broke. We got to do something about it.
Yeah.
The team gets to, like, the ideal state. I mean, you could add Nocturne. Likely that would make more people happy. But most of the time, like, it goes back to the Exiles are just kind of vibing for the rest of the series, and they keep doing stuff for a while until Chris Claremont gets on the book. They do definitely like have to start, like, they literally go into playing the greatest hits of Exiles. Like, one of the second arc after this goes into they call it World Tour, where they go to all of the good multiverses. Like, they start in House of M as a House of M tie-in, and then they go to the new universe, and then they go back to Age of Apocalypse, and then, like, they go everywhere you want them to, and that's just what the book is now. They go back to 2099, obviously. Like, the book's just kind of, it's just hanging out for a while, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I can feel all that. So I definitely think we're better than where we were with those first two. I don't think we're quite as high as Mutant X 1 to 3 at 364, but I think we might be edging into the lower 300s here.
I think this is okay. This is a good comparison. Extreme X-Men Volume 2, 1 through 3, a book that is just Exiles.
Yeah, I think I like this better.
I think I like this better than that too. I think I like it better than the start of Generation Hope. I like it better than Mutant X, but I know we have some disagreement on Mutant X. Mutant X is much higher than I would like it.
Well, let me hear this out. How high would you go?
I'm looking.
I can't put this above 359, which is Uncanny X-Men Bishop's Crossing.
And I understand why you can't do that.
I just think it's not as good.
Let's put it right below it then. I think it's better than that weird Marjorie Liu X-23 arc, the Songs of the Orphan Child.
All right, I like that. So
Let's put it there.
That's going to be at 360. A real interesting episode all about King Hyperion.
You know about the famous X-Men character Hyperion. That's what everyone wants is an episode all about Hyperion in their X-Men content. They want fake Superman. Luckily for people who don't want fake Superman, next week we have X-Men teaming up. It's just X-Men teaming up with other X-Men. But you got that to look forward to. Adam, until next week, what do you got going on?
You guys can always follow me at Arthur Stacy, and make sure to check out all the cool stuff going on at Comics XF.
Absolutely. Want to thank Greg Packnett again for supporting the show. It's on the Patreon. Go check it out if you want, or don't. Again, we're doing the soft sell today, not the hard sell. But until next week, when we team up to take on more comics, I don't know what we team up to take on. Stories. It's stories. That's what they are. But until then, this has been Battle of the Atom. We hope you survived the experience.
Get it!